My name's Dan Burdett. We're here at Cockhaise Farm. As a family, we moved here 40 years ago this year. My dad was a contract farmer. I came back here in 2008, learning the ropes again after working in London, and set my business up here 13 years ago. So the main enterprise is dairy. So we have 240 milking cows they calve in the autumn. And then we have 134 young stock, so 67 of the calves behind me here, born last year, and 67 from the year before that. I always had a hankering that I wanted to work outdoors and I wanted to be my own boss, and yeah, something a bit more energetic than sitting down in a chair. And my wife said to me, "That's what your dad does." So that's the short story of how I ended up back here. Yeah. I'd always put organic above regenerative. We always say organic is the original regenerative. Perhaps the auditing system has audited the love and the kind of some of the passion out of organic, but yeah. So organic. Try and graze as much as possible. Cows are housed probably 4 months over the winter, full time. But yeah, try and get as much out of grazed grass during the season as we can. So we started trying out herbal leys in 2014, and now every time we reseed a paddock, particularly in the grazing platform, it will be a herbal ley. On the cutting ground, I mean with SFI, but we were already doing it, we will put in some herbs, probably plantain, obviously clover in there as well. Yeah. And then we have about 7 or 8 acres of silvo pasture. So we've put some trees into the mix in a couple of our paddocks, just as a trial really to see how that works as well, and also try and create a bit more diversity. Yeah, so FIPL, we've had 2 projects, I think. One, we got the wood chipper that we just walked down to see a couple of years ago, and then we've put in about another 1,000 metres of hedgerows with FIPL as well. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, as an organic dairy farmer, I can feel lucky that our price has held this winter. For majority of dairy farmers, the milk price has gone from a pretty high price last summer to a price way below the cost of production now. So the price pressures are always there in farming, and dairy farming is no different to that. And then you could see issues from the feed markets with disruption of feed supplies through wars, Iran and Ukraine, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Why does milk price fluctuate? Is it just supply and demand?
It certainly has been on the conventional side in the last year. So a year of record high prices, and farmers aren't stupid. Well, maybe they are a little bit, but they're going to make hay while the sun shines. But obviously, it's very hard to turn the taps off. You can't. So it's not like a wheat crop or a barley crop where you can store it and wait. It's a fresh product. It's got to go. So there's now less cows in this country, but most of those cows are now producing more milk on average than they have ever done. So the efficiencies have gone up, so that cows are able to push cows harder when the milk price goes up. Yeah. And
so do you see like more consolidation in the sort of UK or the global dairy market, or?
Well, it's at processor level, it's already getting more consolidated. I mean, we supply Arla, who are now merging with DMK, who are a German cooperative, and yet another merger in Europe. So that's already happening. There are 1 or 2 smaller processors, but if you want to add value and create brands, you need to be a big player in the market. At farm level, there are less and less farmers around, and those farmers tend to have more cows. So land that comes up does tend to get hoovered up by neighbouring farms. So yeah, inevitably on the sort of more commercial or large scale dairying, I guess we're part of that picture, then yes, consolidation is definitely happening. Yeah.
And so really there's 2 routes. It's kind of like scale up or add value. I mean, do you think that's fair, or?
Scale up, yeah, for us, we try and operate a low cost system. So We can push our cows to a certain extent, but we have to look after the costs of production. So we try and maintain a really simple system here, try not to add too many complicating factors. Being organic does help that. Being self-feed, we're under a bit of pressure to comply with environmental regulations, i.e. stopping water landing on yards and going through our slurry system, which does require a lot of input. But yeah, I think, yes, it could well go that way. And there are more and more smaller dairies are popping up now with vending machines or selling into a local market who are trying to tap into that.
And how many people do you employ here? I mean, I guess one of the things you mentioned earlier was giving opportunities to young people to get into farming.
So aside from me and my dad's mostly retired, then we have 2 full-time on the dairy, Matt and Isla, and then we have an apprentice, Liam. So there's 4 of us really full-time on the farm, and then we have some support at calving. Going forwards, the apprentice Liam is leaving, so perhaps we might replace him with 1 or 2 younger bit part employees. Yeah, they're about to drive past.
So obviously there's record numbers of young people training to go into agriculture. Do you think there are opportunities for those people?
There are for the right people, yeah. I would hope so. I think whether they're going to be able to farm in their own right, I think it depends on their ambitions. I think if they want to farm in their own right, that's going to be a challenge. To work for existing businesses, more so. People change. A lot of people I know have been very, very pro young people, students for a long time, but have started to struggle a bit more with that because the younger generation, they might be there for 6 months or a year and then they want to move on. And it takes a lot, it takes a year of someone working for you, particularly on a seasonal system, for them to get used to working for you. And if they then go, you then start over again. So every year you're starting afresh. So a lot of it depends on the appetite of the farmer for retraining year on year. My sort of basic concept of employing people is I look for enthusiasm and with a desire to work hard. That doesn't necessarily come with training or college. That's generally inbred in them, and I can't train that. I can't train motivation. I can't train a smile on their face in the morning or a desire to want to get up every time their alarm goes off. So I think a lot of it is down to self-motivation as much as formal training.
Do you have any advice for, I guess, like aspiring farmers watching this video?
I think I've been really impressed over the last few years is the kids who aren't driven here by their parents. I actually get letters, I get emails, all sorts of things from young kids, from some 12, 13. There's a 12-year-old kid who was here last summer, just contacted me, really desperate to come and see the farm. And I would say be persistent, ask lots of questions, talk, seem like you're interested. For a farmer, this is what we love doing, and we want people to work for us who have that kind of same desire. And if we see that in people who come onto the farm, then we instantly think this is someone that we could work with. Now, whether that's just coming and helping out at weekends, gaining a bit of experience, or whether it leads to a job, that will depend on the makeup of the farm at the time. But I think, yeah, always show your desire to want to work in this industry.
Brilliant. And what is it that you love about what you do?
Personally, my job, I like being in charge. I like the freedom to have the choice to do what I do each day, albeit the winter it's sort of works around the cows and routines. I love working the outdoors. I feel very privileged to be outdoors most of the time. Me and my dog walking around the farm. I love seeing the change of the seasons, and I particularly love the cows. I love a really calm, there's nothing more tranquil and relaxing and meditative than being amongst a calm bunch of cows, and I appreciate that more as life becomes more hectic outside of the farm with growing kids and rushing around here and there. To come and stand amongst a bunch of cows who are just happily chewing the cuds, I don't think there's anything better than that.